Good afternoon, Council. We're going to call this meeting to order. The meeting of the General Governance Committee is held in a hybrid format with virtual and in-person participation by members of public, staff, and council. This meeting is also being live streamed and may be viewed online at ajax.ca/live. Friendly reminder to all participants to use their microphone at all times for the benefit of those participating in council chambers and joining remotely. Now I'm going to call this meeting to order. You okay over there? We'd like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas, more specifically the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nations, signatory to the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the Williams Treaty of 1923. This land is and will continue to be home to the Indigenous peoples. Let us acknowledge the mistakes and traumas of the past through authenticity and support truth and reconciliation. Let us engage and celebrate Indigenous communities by being leaders of action and acknowledge the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations towards truth and reconciliation. Let us keep these principles close as we continue towards truth and reconciliation and as we move forward with kindness and respect as a community. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, I need a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting. Councillor Lee, is there any questions? Okay, the vote is open. I need a motion to approve. Oh, do we have enclosed in camera? Yeah, I guess so. A motion to approve the closed session of December the 11th. Councillor Morin, any question? I guess no questions. All in favor? Your vote's open. Okay, we have, I'm sorry. I don't have a screen. Do you have a screen? Yeah. Our screens are blank. Do we need to turn something on? Oh, it says down here it passed. Except somebody voted no. I don't know who voted no. No, she's online. Okay, I see me now.
So Joanne's not on.
So Joanne answered yes, but it recorded as no. Okay. Okay, so we have two consent items that have been pulled, both by Councillor Henry. So Councillor Henry to 4.1.
Thank you. Through the chair, let me just get my notes organized here. So just a few quick questions. 4.1. Give me 1 minute here. Apologies. Here we go. With regards to Lake Ridge and the land boundaries there. So we had a conversation, Ms. Cristiano and myself, and I just want to thank you for that. Much appreciated for the map that just came up, and it is gone now. There it is. There we go. Old Lake Ridge Road. So I just want some clarification on this with regards to the boundaries between the town of Ajax and the town of Whitby. With regards to the change, and we see Lake Ridge Road on the screen there, and Old Lake Ridge Road, and the maintenance, because as we see when we come from Cresser Avenue, along west, and then come south on Old Lake Ridge Road, with regards to the maintenance and responsibility of this road. If you could speak to that a little more fuller, thank you.
Ms. Cruciano?
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Councillor Henry, and through the chair. So yes, the maintenance requirements currently are with the region of Durham because they have assumed responsibility for this road following the 407 construction that completed in 2019. The purpose of this agreement in front of you is to transfer all of that responsibility for maintenance to the town of Whitby and all of the costs and liability that is associated with that.
And why is it that we cannot just transfer this entire road in its entirety forever and to come to the town of Whitby?
Through the chair, that is a result of this being a boundary road between two municipalities. So in order to change the boundary of a municipality, there is an extensive regulatory process that is managed by the province that would take years to materialize. In the interest of timing and in consultation with legal counsel, with the town, and with the town of Whitby, it was determined by staff that the most expedient solution to the issue would be to have this agreement developed, which it will be in place for a term of 25 years with opportunities to extend for 2 further 25-year terms.
2 25-year terms. Okay, thank you. That was my only question on that. With regards to 4.2, I have more questions, many more. So let me just go back to this for a minute here.
I'm sorry, are you doing 4.2?
Yes, can
We
we
need to
that?
move 4.1.
Oh, my apologies.
Okay, I need a mover for 4.1. Councillor Dyes, Regional Councillor Dyes. If there are any further questions? Okay, the vote will be open. Thank you. And now you have 4.2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with regards to 4.2, we have a piece of land in front of us here, and I'm looking at the map that's on page 3 of your report, which is on page 22 of the PDF. And if we could get that up on the screen, I'd ask for that ahead of time with regards to the map. Thank you. Much appreciated. So when we look at this, and I had some questions with regards to this as well, with regards to policy and procedure, and I had asked, and if you could just reiterate, was there a notice sent out to the homeowner of 35 Sabe Crescent?
Through the chair to Councillor Henry, no, there was not, in line with our current policy for disposal or sale of lands.
Okay, so no one on this street was notified of this, the homeowner was not notified of this, the notification was done publicly through the town website, correct?
Through the chair, that is correct for this recent work that's been done. I will turn it over to Director Romanowski, who can provide some perhaps historical context on the file, because it has been active with the town since, I believe, since 2008.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Henry. The residents of this street were extensively involved with this application since its submission in 2007 to the town. These lands are part and parcel of an OMB decision and are required in order to ensure these 5 lots along Sabe Crescent can be developed. So residents on the street were made aware through the development, through the public process, through the OMB hearings, that this parcel and the land surrounding this parcel were to be developed.
And when you say we're, and excuse me for getting a little nitpicky on this, but when we're talking about we're notified and have been involved in it, are we talking the same landowner of 35 Sabe was involved from 2007? Do we even know if it's the same landowner?
I'm not aware of who currently owns the land, and just to reiterate what Ms. Cruciano spoke of with regards to our process and notification in line with the legislation and our policies, we're not obligated to inform the immediate neighbor or all the residents on the street. We're required to inform them as per the legislation. And in this case, we provided notification on our website And it was always the intent of these lands to be sold in conjunction with the development of 1257 Westney Road and for no other purposes.
Understood. I understand what you're saying. I'm just not sure the landowner will. And I guess my frustration with this process is I understand what we're trying to do here today. And I know it meets the mandate of the province and our goal here. But my frustration is that after this meeting, when the resident does learn about this, I'm the one, as the local councillor, that's going to catch holy about this because they were not informed in a letter. So I'd like to consider that with regards to process and whether that is something that can be changed moving forward, how we go about doing that. But I'd rather that the resident have had the opportunity to come here today and speak to their concerns, even though we are within our rights to do this. I would rather that have been prior to than after the fact. And I need to mention that concern because any of us sitting here would be under fire once the resident finds out after the fact. And I understand we have our right to do this. And my understanding is that this was an OMB decision that we have no control over and we must follow through with that. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Henry, that's correct. And if a council member is under fire or gets this line of questioning, and if the owner is still the owner of the lands that we're talking about, you can have him call me and talk to me. I believe his last name is Wilson. It's Nigel Wilson's brother that I believe owns this property. At least he did when I talked to him. We've had many conversations about this parcel. So I'd be surprised if you do get any questions or feedback. And if anything, it might just be, going back over the history and refreshing Mr. Wilson's memory as to like what the purposes of these parcels, particular parts 1, 2, and 3 of this 40R plan were actually for.
Thank you. It's good to know. I'm not sure who Nigel Wilson's brother is. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. But thank you for that information. Okay, so that was basically my questions with regards to this. I wanted to just make that known.
Yeah, and I would just want to clarify too, like the OMB has made a decision on the development of these lands. These 3 pieces of land were remnant parcels from the Nottingham subdivision that Runnymede didn't even know that they owned, or the town owned, or that the town, so like through my processing of this application, these 3 pieces are dedicated to the development of these lands because they're required for a servicing easement and access driveway for the lots that that last lot on your map, that on the map in the report that fronts onto Sabi,
Yes.
but it's also the water and sanitary connection that goes down to Sabi to service the condo block that fronts onto Westney Road, because it's gravity, so it goes downhill to where it needs to go, as opposed to uphill, which requires other infrastructure to move the sanitary. So that was a detail that was evolved through the plan and was eventually approved through the Ontario Municipal Board.
Okay, thank you for that. I had to voice that because if it's not the same homeowner, if we didn't notify them in writing, you can imagine as a homeowner how upset you would be. And I need to be on both sides of this, right? So thank you for that time. That's all my questions.
Thank you. Would you like to move the report? Moved by Councillor Henry. If there's no further questions, the vote will be open. Thank you very much. Next, we have a presentation on the 2024 Ajax Partnership Fund allocations. Hello, Liam.
Hello. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So yes, as Crawford mentioned, this is a presentation on the 2024 allocations for the Ajax Partnership Fund. So I'll just get started here. You've seen this slide before from last time, but just as a refresher, Council approved this new framework to consolidate the town's corporate giving portfolio under one program in June of 2022. The goals of the program were to create a simple and streamlined application process, to expand the eligibility to fund creative grassroots endeavors, to increase accountability and transparency in the decision-making process, and for the promotion and reporting of the town's contributions both in kind and through grants. So over the past year or so, this is kind of, or 6 months, I guess at this point, these are the milestones that we've achieved in getting the 2024 program off the ground and what will be happening going forward. In August of 2023, we opened up our application portal to start intaking those creative ideas I mentioned. Between October and November, staff undertook a comprehensive review and scoring process of the applications received. Since November until just recently, we were sending out notifications to both successful and unsuccessful applicants and finalizing the details of those projects. And from now until the end of the year, we will be monitoring the projects, collecting regular reporting, and at the end of the year, coming back to you again with a report of what happened. So new this year was we launched partnerships.ajax.ca, otherwise known as the Partnerships Portal. So this tool replaced the IMO survey tool that we were using for the process. It allows applicants to create a profile in the system, track their applications, make edits to them before they submit, and just generally have a better sense of what it is that they're applying for and take time to really consider their application. On our end, it enabled us to work more collaboratively as we were reviewing the applications, to be more systemic in our process. And it also allowed us to automate the notifications through the system. So when we'd received an application, when we'd made a decision, those notices went out as soon as possible. Reporting will also be completed through the system this year. So that's a big improvement for me. It was a bit of a process trying to get all the reports in last year, but this year that will all be automated with the notices, and we'll be able to see very quickly where we're missing a report or when things are coming up. So in short, we have streamlined and centralized our entire process through that portal. This year we received 106 applications. That's up from about 85 or so last year. So an increase, and you can see the breakdown there. Quite a few applications were for over $100,000, but for the most part, they were kind of in that $10,000 to $50,000 range. We did find that there was a lot more moderation, I suppose, in the amount requested this year. Last year, there was a lot of big proposals. This year, they were more tailored to the amount that we're actually able to provide. And by organization type, we saw a lot more not-for-profits applying this year. We saw more for-profits as well, and there was a decrease in the number of registered charities. Another interesting one for me was more individuals applying as well. So those people that aren't with incorporated groups, they just have an idea and they want to see if it'll fly. So that's always good to see. And despite the fact that the requests were a little bit more tailored to the amount that we could provide, the amount requested this year was up by $2 million. So far from the Ajax Partnership Fund, the community has requested $8.5 million out of our total $1 million budget for the 4 years. So a lot of demand out there, a lot of ideas coming in. We have approved 32 projects to move forward for 2024. The total allocation was $236,500. This leaves a balance of $13,500 for our bursaries program and in-year support. So I'm very quickly going to run through 32 projects. If I spent a minute on each one, that would be an awful long time going through projects, so bear with me and happy to take questions at the end. We have the project supporting the Afrocentric Community Hub, or the establishment of one in Durham Region, which is receiving $25,000. This is funding going towards some of the administrative work, building a business case, strategic plan, different components that they will need to go forward to collect further funding as they seek to establish this in Durham. Girls Inc. of Durham Region is receiving $25,000 for the funding for their Mind and Body program. This program was also supported through the APF last year, and we're excited to continue that partnership. The Ajax Pickering Hospital Foundation is receiving $20,000 to fund a Sentinel node probe. Please don't ask me what that is. I do not know, but it sounds very important. It's for the diagnostics of breast cancer surgery at the hospital. Nobellum is an organization that we're supporting with $15,000 to create the Ajax Innovation Pitch, which is an event for Ajax startups with an emphasis on Black founders, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and technology-enabled ventures. The Ignite Durham Learning Foundation will be receiving $10,000 for their mobile, culturally aware food and basic needs depot. The Charles H. Best Diabetes Center will be receiving an additional $10,000 this year towards their capital campaign, Building on the Best. The Alzheimer's Society will also be receiving $10,000 in support of their Ajax satellite location, which is another one that was supported last year. Scientists in the school will be receiving $10,000, which they'll be using to provide 700 children across Ajax with the opportunity to receive that scientists in the school experience in their classrooms. Pride Durham is receiving $10,000 each year over the next 3 years. And this is in support of the celebrations that they do in Ajax each year. And this year they'll be marking the 20th anniversary of Pride in Durham region, so that's an especially big milestone for them. Ajax Plaza businesses, we've set aside $10,000 for the creation of a funding stream for business owners in the Ajax Plaza to purchase equipment or fixtures to assist with safety and security. The Ephrata Center of Excellence has gotten support in the amount of $10,000 for a leadership program that they're hoping to run with a focus on anti-Black racism and racism that youth encounter, while also developing skills and confidence. The Legion has been allocated $7,000 to upgrade their hall's lighting to LED lighting, which will reduce their energy costs and greatly improve the quality of the hall. Durham One is starting a Rooted campaign for $5,000, focusing on running 2 programs annually, the Youth Mental Health Week and Sow and Grow Community Empowerment. The DDSB and DCDSB robotics clubs are actually 3 separate projects that we've bundled. So $5,000 for each team at J. Clark Richardson, Archbishop Dennis O'Connor, and Pickering High School. And that funding's towards their robotics team for materials and things like that. Muslim women of Durham Region applied and have received $5,000 for an Islamic History Month event to be held here in Ajax. Paramarine Search and Rescue is also receiving $5,000 towards their continued operations. Durham Family and Cultural Center, also at a lot of 5,000s, to host Cultural Connections Multiculturalism Heritage Day event. Ajax Pickering Road Watch is receiving $5,000 for their operations in the town. Music for Life String Ensemble will be holding Golden Grooves Music for Health and Happiness, which seeks to harness the transformative power of live music to improve the mental, emotional, and physical health of community members, particularly seniors, as they deal with seclusion and social isolation. Talkin' Tales is one that we supported last year, and we're happy to do so again this year for their Resilient Rhythms, which is a Black History Month event that they'll be holding again. Oyenarian Education Support is also receiving $3,500 for their 9th annual Looking Back into the Future Black History Month conference, which they hope to be holding at the St. Francis Center. Pine Ridge Arts Council will be getting $3,500 for their speaker series of artist-led presentations, with the hope of getting more residents involved in the arts, exploring the arts, and learning to leverage their craft into a potential business. Community Living Ajax, Pickering, and Whitby received $3,000 for their nutrition and cooking program to help those with intellectual disabilities to learn to shop, cook simple, nutritious meals, and provide access to food for those living below the poverty line through the winter. The Ajax Probus Club will be holding another open house this year. They received our support last year, and it generated 40 new members with them, so they're seeing huge growth through this event. So we're happy to support that again. The Durham Chinese Canadian Culture Center will be receiving funding for their Cross-Culture Youth Summer Market Week in 2024, bringing entrepreneurs of diverse backgrounds together for innovation and entrepreneurism. The Ajax Wannabes Run Club will be hosting a series of 4 races. I think I count as a wannabe runner, so I might go to this one. So the first 3 are held in June, July, and August. They're 5K runs to highlight North, East, and West Ajax. They're open to everyone with a training program to get people active, including kids and adults. The Durham Region International Film Festival is receiving money towards their annual film festival, and Durham Alliance Outreach will be receiving $2,500 towards the only 2S LGBTQ food pantry in all of Durham Region. Oh, we have two more. Faith Family Church Christian Faith Outreach Center, $2,500 for a weekly youth program focusing on sports and recreation, career development, workshops on topics such as active transportation, public transit, and more, with support from the town of Ajax wherever feasible. And the Durham Intercultural Volunteer Youth Association is receiving $2,500 for their holy event, Colors of Unity, bringing together youth for a day filled with fun, entertainment, and community engagement. Whew. So next steps, we have the finalization of our partnership agreements, which is currently ongoing. So we're working with the applicants to figure out what exactly these programs will look like, suss out some of those details, and create agreements that we can all sign off on. We will be coordinating promotion opportunities for approved projects, figuring out ways to highlight them, share any successes that we have. We'll also be holding feedback meetings with unsuccessful applicants. So we did this last year, and it was really appreciated by those who weren't successful. We did have some who had those meetings last year come back this year and become successful, so we're hoping to see more of that. And then we'll be launching the program again in August of 2024 with a wrap-up presentation to council in December of this year. So that's all from me, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Liam. I don't know about you, but 5K is my jam, so I think I just might be joining the wannabe runs. And I think our council actually ran 5K. Well, you ran across the finish line. That's all that really counts, right? Thank you very much for this report. Is there any question? Oh, sorry. Councillor Henry.
Thank you. And thank you for the report. Much appreciated. As this was my first year exposed to this, I do have some questions that I probably did not even think of last year, so I'm going to ask them now. For those that did not meet the qualifications, I notice it's not in the report here, and I understand why it wouldn't be in a public report. Is it something that will be coming forth to council on a high level to show us the applicants and why the criteria, why they didn't meet the criteria? Do we get to see that?
That wouldn't typically be something that we would do. When people apply to the partnership fund, we try to keep it as safe for them as possible, I'm going to say. And so it's difficult when you're not successful for a fund to have that put out publicly, to explain why you weren't successful publicly. We're always, always, always happy to meet with those applicants one-on-one to discuss that. We're happy to meet with councillors if there's any concerns, but in a public forum or in a report to council, I'm not sure that would be fair to the applicants, and I would be concerned that it might discourage people from applying if they knew they might be put on that list going
So
forward.
not in a public forum, but in a report, like a private report to council, we would not see that. Like I have no list that shows me who applied and didn't meet the criteria. Yeah, we get calls as counselors when folks don't meet it. We always try to direct them back to you, but is there not, there's no running list that we get to see?
No, there is not at this time. We were directed by council to make these decisions. And so we present to you the outcome of the process and what those successful applications were. Again, we're happy to meet with those unsuccessful applicants. I'm not sure. I think that it might be better if that stayed in our purview to help work with those people. We're the ones that know kind of the ins and outs of what happened, maybe some of the considerations that went into it. I'm just not sure how we would communicate that.
Okay, let me think on that a little bit. And let me ask you, with regards to science in the school, why are we funding that? And it's not that I'm against science in the school. It's that I've been a chair of a parent school board, and it was always our responsibility to raise the funds for these such programs, which we did. So I'm kind of curious as to how we are justifying as a town to give money for one particular or two particular schools and not all of them. And is there some criteria that shows that they don't have the funding to provide this through the parent council? Because some parent councils, their fundraising is, phenomenal, whereas others are not. And I'm just wondering what the criteria around that is.
I wouldn't want to speak to the specifics of why we did or didn't approve applications here at this meeting. The funding for scientists in the school, as was indicated in my report, is ensuring that 700 students are able to do it without charge. It's my understanding that a charge is applied. Otherwise, there may be schools that fundraise. Again, it's hard for me to speak.
But do we ask that question? Do we ask the question of, is, and any school, not this particular school, I'm not, any school that applies, do we go back to them and say, do you have the funding through your parent council to achieve this program without this grant?
That would be up to scientists in the school to determine. They submit an application to us, we've evaluated it and approved it.
So it's the program itself that submits the application to us,
Correct.
not the school board themselves? Interesting. And with regard, I guess it's the same, the Robots Club, I guess it's the same because I'm going back to, again, the parent council, and I know, like our parent council might have only had 10,000 in the bank, whereas other parent councils had 40,000 because, they put on a large event that raised that money. So again, was it this organization, the Robots Club, that came to us for the funding, or was it the school boards, the parent councils?
I see Cassandra standing behind me. Do you want to jump in?
Yes, I'm happy to provide some added context. So in the case of the Robotics Club, through the chair to Councillor Henry, this was requested by the schools themselves. So the teachers that run that program were those that applied to the Ajax Partnership Fund. So that was who applied. And part of the assessment criteria for each grant that is awarded is to measure it against the strategic priorities of the town. So some of the supports for engaging young people, the whole genesis of the program is to provide funds to organizations or individuals that are doing good things in the community that the town maybe doesn't have the capacity to do ourselves, but has really tangible strategic outcomes. So in the case of scientists in the schools, we get the details from them on what criteria they use to waive the fees at certain schools versus others. I believe last year, and we can confirm offline, they did so for schools that had a lower income demographic around them, because the ask of providing $20 or $30 per student to participate in something like that was cost prohibitive. So we can provide more details on what that looks like for 2024. But in the case of the robotics classes, these are presented to us as opportunities to fund initiatives that are already ongoing, that the town can, by providing some funding, support the outcomes that come from that as it relates to youth engagement and increasing participation in STEM and other technology-based initiatives.
And I understand that we are, it's in our strategic plan to support this, and it makes total sense. I guess my concern is, and it goes back to the parent councils again, is that has the teacher, asked for the money from the parent council first and was told it wasn't there? Did it go through that process? Because I know, and I'm not going to say which schools they are, but I have, on the Catholic side, I have a pretty good understanding of what schools have money in their kitty and which don't, with regards to with regards to the parent councils, and a good understanding of how that's divvied up. So I guess that the reason I'm asking these questions is because if we're giving funding to that program and it meets all our mandate and strategic planning and everything, and it looks good, and maybe there's another application that was denied because there was a few similar, but this is in the school board and there might have been some funding there. That's my concern, is that we denied one to give to another that might have been able to pull out of a kitty that another couldn't have. And I'm just looking for the parameters around that to safeguard that, to make sure that's not happening.
So through the chair, the policy and process that council approved at the beginning of this program made a conscious decision to not include requiring applicants to provide us with the detailed financial information. We ask for a budget on what they're going to spend our money that we're contributing on, and measure it against that. We purposely did not include the requirement of additional financial details in the application for the specific reason that as people that apply for grants for the town, but also as, working with not-for-profits and community organizations, the capacity required to collect that information and the financial statements actually is a huge burden on these community organizations to provide that support through the granting process. So, council approved that philosophy through the policy that was passed, that from our perspective, we care about how you're spending the funds that the town is assigning to individuals. We're making the general feeling that the organization's financials are less important to us than the outcomes that they are providing. And so we have, a transparent matrix of how we assess applications, and when individuals are denied, and, if there are concerns of, comparative to others that did receive money, that's something that we can go through the matrix that we score applications on with them directly in the debrief conversations that are offered.
I understand what you're saying. I still have that concern
I
there,
can
and I
say
just
that-
wanted it noted.
I can say that I went to a school that received funding for scientists in the school, and the principal herself was coincidentally in the Catholic ward, and was almost in tears, telling us how thankful she was that they were able to provide this for their students without any cost, because it came through the scientists in the school. So,
And I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying I'm asking about the safeguards put in place, because, 3 schools could apply for this funding from what I'm hearing. 2 of the 3 could have money in the kitty in their parent council budget and still apply for the funding. If all 3 got them, 2 had the opportunity to pay for it. And it goes back to what Mayor Collier said about the CIPs in the village, and about the understanding of how, when we're talking about improvements, and he made some comments about how, he knows business owners that have vacation homes and all this. Like, it goes back to that kind of theory. You know what I'm
okay,
saying?
let's not confuse the two. But do you have any further questions on this? I think we understand your point.
Yes. No, I think that's all the questions with regards to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Regional Councillor Lee. Hold it there.
Thank you, Chair. I'll make this a quick one. Part of the reason we delegated the responsibility was so there wouldn't be any political interference regarding the funding, correct?
I can't speak to motivations.
Part of it was to allow staff to determine the criteria as opposed to council, I think, is why the policy was ultimately created.
The effect of the policy is that staff determine the criteria and score the applications without council input, yes.
Right. So ultimately, it's kept arm's length from specifically the 7 of us, so that we're unable to put through anyone we are connected with intentionally, and that every application is graded strictly on their merits. Correct?
Yes, to Regional Council through the chair. I'd also say that the initial staff report that was presented to council did recommend that council be the ultimate decision makers, and it was the decision of council at the time that they preferred that staff or that they delegated that authority to the senior management team.
So just context for Councillor Henry. That was ultimately my intent, was that I didn't want to be petitioned by various community groups and feel that they had any sort of undue influence on me, therefore access to this money. And so that's why I supported delegating the authority. So I'll just leave it at that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I had Lisa. Where did you go? Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Regional Councillor Crawford. My point, thank you, Regional Councillor Lee, for mentioning that. That was something that I did want to say. And I just wanted to make a comment that, point of order, I think, that it is not within our authority to speak about the ability of schools' parent councils to raise funds, or how any criteria setting of what they can apply for or how they should spend it. And along that same line, if we want to get that involved, which we delegated and decided we don't want to for good reason, that's the same as every other recipient who has applied going through a reporting process to whether they have money elsewhere that they could utilize before applying, which I don't think is really any of our business. The application process is set as such, and I I feel we don't, council gave that authority to staff, and that's where it should remain. Thank you. No questions.
Thank you. Councillor Henry.
Thank you. Understanding what my colleagues have said, and it's not that I'm asking for authority here. I just want to, I think I can.
Order. 11.7, no member shall speak to the same question for longer than 5 minutes. Let's move on, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. I don't think we have any action on this one. And we are going to move into Canberra. Oh, a motion to receive. Councillor Morin, and vote open. Thank you. Okay, do I need a motion to? I need a motion to go in camera. Mayor Mayor Collier. All in, votes open? Yeah, yeah. Thank you. We're going to need 5 minutes to. I need a motion to ratify the decisions of the in-camera. Councillor Moran, and the vote is open. So council has approved the appointment of, is that what I'm reading? Okay. Council has approved the appointment of Lori Roberts to the Committee of Adjustment with the membership effective until February 28th, 2027, or until successor is appointed.
And that just requires a vote, council.
A vote of council, we don't need a mover, because we've already moved it.
We require a mover.
Oh, we need a mover. Regional Councillor Lee, and the vote's open. Thank you. I believe I need a motion to adjourn. Councillor Moran, vote's open. Thank you. Oh,